PKL. I mean, I want to start with, the journey. I mean, before we get into how it was founded and how you conceptualize the whole thing, how does it feel right now? Like, from what I see, is you built a product, it was your baby, you made it what it was, and kind of then passed it on to Star Sports, so to speak. How does it feel right now? Like, does it feel yours or not so much?
Well, good question. Because I never started out wanting it to be mine. And I don't want to sound, holier than thou or whatever, but it was only for the sport and the people who played it or play it. Because I think it was unrecognized and it kind of almost mixed with the dust of India for too long. And it needed to be polished and put up on the pedestal that it deserved. So that was the intention. It wasn't it wasn't a major entrepreneurial decision for me. It wasn't, business. It wasn't money. It wasn't commercial. It was just the sport that needed help. And on that score, I have to say today, as day one, I'm very happy because the sport has certainly now risen to where it should be. And the gladiators that play it are now finding far more attention, a little bit of fame, certainly commercial success, and all that sort of thing. So, those two or three main objectives have been achieved. The fact that I'm no longer completely in charge or don't own the company or whatever, it's very minor and irrelevant to me. I hope you understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying because, yeah,
absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
it gave me a bit too, sure. I mean, I quite bask in the fact that I was involved in
Creating it.
yeah, the making of the, as I called it, still call it the, uh, I'm forgetting all the words now, but the new, sophisticated, international competitive form of kabaddi.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And not only that, like, I feel like, of course, cricket is cricket, and but no other sport has been really able to crack the code with this whole professional league stuff. Like, if you look at what's happening with ISL, hockey was shut,
Several times,
restarted
yeah.
several times. Wrestling got shut, unfortunately. TTs there, commercial success is tricky. Badminton has been shut off and on. Like, even the sports which are revered in our country, like, I would imagine wrestling could have done better than kabaddi, right? But kabaddi is tested, like, seen the test of time, commercial success, partners, sponsors, good broadcast deals. So I think there's a unanimous agreement that is the second biggest, not just the numbers, but in terms of just also perception, is the second biggest league in the country, and you created that. So how
Well,
does that feel? Like, do
yeah.
you ever step back and think that what the hell, man, we just did this?
No, I don't. Honestly, I don't. But of course, I will admit, and again, I'm not just saying this because I hate wasting my words or my breath, but it happened because of a lot of support from some very key people. And, it has to be sort of like a huge joint effort with a lot of grace of God as well. Why don't we, because the IPL had happened and it was
Mm.
fairly fresh in people's minds, why don't we do a league?
Similar to IPL.
Yeah, why don't we run a Kabaddi League and get it going? I said, oh my God. I mean, because there are like 40,000 people behind the IPL in terms of management and BCCI and everything
Mm.
else. I said, I mean, what is the magnitude of that task? It's just, and I'm just this one hired gun, I just run around doing my own individual maverick stuff.
Yeah.
I wasn't company minded, and we must have 40 offices in 50 countries and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I was so committed and convinced. And why? Because what do I know? I know sport and I know television. And you put those two together, I knew that kabaddi, if spruced up and polished, will do really well. So that was a moment, wasn't it? When what would I say? And I suppose there was only one answer. And I said, let's do it. And he said, fine. The two of us, we'll get together, you make a plan, and we'll do the budgeting and we'll take it all forward and let's run with it. As something that he felt was not only supporting what I believed in, and I'm sure he believed in it to an extent, but also for something to do for Indian sport and for fun. Not fun as in a lighter vein, but not to have too many serious commercial aspirations,
Mm.
but let's just run with it.
Yeah.
So that was 2010. And now 2014, the 26th of July, a date I will hope never to forget, was, a long way off. It took me 3.5 years more to actually do all the running around and get it going. And you can imagine the way was just full of 99 out of 100 were naysayers saying, what are you
Yeah.
even
What the
talking
hell?
about?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
So, but while the rejections and the difficulties damn near killed me, I have to admit that there was, just enough support to be able to mount it. Otherwise, it would have died,
Mm.
several times before it
Mm.
actually happened.
And also having somebody like Anand who's resourceful, been successfully running businesses, potentially as a network, that would have been like an immense support, right?
Well, I did tell him that, listen, what we do need, always thought we'd do an 8-team format to
Mm.
begin with. And of course,
Mm.
that's increased to
Mm.
12 because I think
Mm.
there's even more scope.
Mm.
So, what do I think of it? You asked right at the top. I
Mm.
think we're still under.
I,
We're
I
still
I would
immature.
like to agree there.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
so we'll get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did tell him that, listen, one of the most difficult things is going to be to get our 8 team owners.
Mm.
And I mean no disrespect to those who have money or whatever, but I did need people who had a little bit of money for sure,
Mm.
spare, but also their entrepreneurial reputation.
Mm.
Because I did want people, the number of, I'm going to leave it here if you
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
mind. The number of, uh, lost my track there, but
But
yeah,
like the quality of the
yeah,
franchise owners, right? The club
exactly.
owners. Yeah.
So I didn't want, one, the money wasn't too much, but I did want people to, ah, I've got my train of thought again. The number of walls of perception that one had to break,
Mm.
you can imagine. They were like
Mm.
wall after wall after wall.
Mm.
Because unfortunately, in our own land, our own sport
Mm.
was buried deep under these walls of perception.
Mm.
It had become a sport where a lot of India, not just urban India, but a lot of India had kind of.
Yeah, shoved off. And it was like a rural sport. It wasn't cool, it wasn't sexy. And but tell me something. So yeah.
Therefore, it was very important for me to get owners who bring not just their wealth, because we didn't need too much, and still, it's a the one of the many angles about why I think it worked well is because of the
Mm.
compression of
Mm.
the money involved,
Mm.
which is why you mentioned a whole lot of other leagues haven't worked. And I don't mean to sound like a pundit, but this is what I do. But the commercials were all kind of a little off. Anyway, but I wanted their reputation in. One more important, fat, thick wall of perception I thought would be broken if they say, oh, so and so owns a team. Must be
Mm.
something in it here.
Yeah, that's true.
So and so owns a team. So that
Yeah.
was important to me. And so going back to Anand, I do remember telling him, listen, I think I'll need you to make
Some calls.
some calls. I'll do a lot of running around, but I need those calls from you,
Yeah.
which I can understand. He wouldn't have wanted to make too many of those or too
Mm.
frequent because,
Mm.
even nobody likes being told by people, are you
Are you
you're
crazy?
crazy,
Yeah.
yaar."
Yeah.